Hi, today's video is about the fine balance between whether or not a group is a cult or isn't a cult. There are very few cult experts in the world, but one of them is Rick Allen Ross. Now, he's been around since the late 80s doing deprogramming for cult members and counseling ex-cult members. He wrote a book called Cults Inside Out, How People Get In and Out of Cults. And he has a storehouse of knowledge, and it could be helpful. However, I cannot believe I'm going to say the sentence I am going to say. But Mr. Ross has the disadvantage of not having been in a cult. Yes, I said that. Disadvantage of not having been in a cult. Let me tell you why. He claimed that Jehovah's Witnesses, while still qualifying as an authoritarian, destructive organization, did not qualify as a cult because there wasn't a singular leader getting, worshipful attention. But unfortunately, he doesn't understand what it's like inside that group and how their system of leadership functions. So let me explain it real quick. The Jehovah's Witnesses used to have a singular leader way back 100 years ago. But eventually they formed what they call a governing body. So instead of one guy, there's a group of guys, and they make the major decisions and judgments and write a lot of the literature. And then below that governing body would be these circuit overseers, they're called, and they oversee a bunch of congregations each. And then on the congregation level, there are elders, very patriarchal, only men have authority. So it's all men. So the local elders and the circuit overseers and the governing body at the top function as one unit. In their authority, in their power, in their judgments, they function as one group. So what difference does it make whether it's one singular person or group that functions as a unit? No difference. And then the fact that any cult, when it's relatively small, only has, the one guy or woman, one person that's, coercive and manipulating everybody and, giving out rewards and punishments. There's one person. But once that group gets beyond a certain size, and the singular cult leader can't influence individuals so much anymore, they usually get, we'll call them henchmen, right? They usually get some people that are like right under them to begin to enforce the coercion and the manipulation and the rules and the rewards and the punishments. Again, even in any cult, whether it's Jehovah's Witnesses or any cult, when it gets to be a certain size, the leader needs help keeping the group in control, keeping that high demand, keeping that control there. So again, what difference does it make whether it's one singular guy or a group that's doing it? And then, of course, eventually in any cult, they get the actual cult members to police themselves, right? That's going to be in function of any cult. And I just think that, wait, before I go there, the elders. Let me talk about the elders. These guys, even though they're the low-level henchmen, right? They have this power over your life to destroy it if they so choose, okay? Because when you're a Jehovah's Witness or in any cult, usually you begin to only associate with the people in the cult, to the point where you will even stop associating with family members and not make friends outside the group. You make friends inside the group. And there's a ton of reasons for that. Not just the rules of the group. There's a ton of reasons for that. But your whole world becomes the cult and the cult members. And these elders of the Jehovah's Witnesses, if you do something against the rules and they either find out or you go and confess to them, which you are supposed to do. Because if you don't confess to them, God will withdraw his Holy Spirit from the entire congregation. That's the power these guys have. So you go to them and confess. You tell them you did something wrong. Say you smoked a cigarette. That's against the rules. Well, they judge you. They judge your heart and determine whether or not you're repentant enough. And if you're repentant enough, you're okay. They forgive you. But if you're not repentant enough, they can disfellowship you, which is their word for excommunication, which means you will now lose all your family and all your friends that are in the group, that are in the cult. They won't speak to you. That's the power these guys have. They can destroy your life. So what the frick difference does it make? Whether it was the singular guy at the top that did it to you or the henchmen down below. They have power, they wield it, and they can destroy your life. So I'm sorry, but Mr. Ross couldn't be more wrong. Plus, consider this. What are now all ex-Jehovah's Witnesses supposed to do? Because one cult expert says it's not really a cult. So now I come up to you and I say, yes, I was in this, authoritarian, destructive organization. And you go, oh man, like a cult? And I have to now go, no, that's stupid. That's just stupid, okay? So, to my ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who may hear this, you ignore him, okay? You are in a cult, right? And this is the fine balancing act, having been in a cult, that you can begin to determine whether a group that you're in or that you're about to join, or that, are they a cult, are they not? And, you can turn to someone like myself who's been in one, who studied a little bit about how it works, to determine. And just keep your eye out when you join a new group. Check out whether or not they're being coercive and manipulative, and if they have that kind of power to destroy your life if you leave. Okay, that's it for now. Bye. Thanks for listening.